Sairam kepada semua pemirsa media Sai Indonesia dimanapun Anda berada. Saya, Puja, atas izin dan rahmat Swami akan membawa Anda untuk menjelajahi episode hari ini dalam program kita semua yang paling banyak ditonton, yaitu Mencari Kebahagiaan Sejati. Video hari ini adalah pengalaman yang sangat indah yang akan diceritakan oleh Brother Prem Anos, seorang bakta begawan Sri Satya Sai Baba yang penuh kasih dan seorang mantan siswa prasanti yang diberkati karena berada dekat dengan guru junjungan kita yang terkasih. Dalam episode kali ini, Brother Prem akan berbagi pengalamannya yang menunjukkan bahwa Swami berada di dalam hati kita dan kita dapat terhubung dengannya kapan saja dengan ketulusan, keyakinan, dan meditasi. Nah, tanpa harus menunggu lama lagi, langsung saja kita saksikan Mencari Kebahagiaan Sejati.
You know, in the schools in Prashanti, you either join during the first standard, that's when you start your school, or you join during the 11th standard, you know what's the equivalent in your schooling system. So 11th standard is a interesting time to join Swami's school, because you're already around 14, 15. It's that difficult age, to put it lightly. And then you have this discipline to keep up with, and all of these austerities, so-called, for that age. But by Swami's grace, it happens so beautifully, the transition. So this senior of mine came from the city of Mumbai. And the teachers in Swami's school their molds are made in some other universe, I guess. Very, very different. And very, very beautiful souls. The way they train the students at that age, they nurture them and lead them to Swami, it's something phenomenal. So there was this one teacher who wanted to introduce the concept of meditation to all the children. How do you teach meditation to a 13, 14, 15-year-old child who's come from the city and was so distracted? But one thing universal in the hostel was everybody had immense love for Swami. Right? Swami was there, Swami was physically interacting with all of them. So they all craved to go close to Swami and they all craved for a word from Swami. So this teacher used that to teach these children meditation. So he told them, meditation is very simple. You just sit down, close your eyes, and imagine that you're traveling within your own heart. Right? Just imagine as graphically as you can that you're going within your own heart, and imagine your heart to be a temple. And you're opening the doors of your temple one by one. If you've been to any of the big temples in India, you would know that there are many doors to each temple, right? The final door is the one to the Sanctum Sanctorum. So this teacher told them, you close your eyes and imagine that you're going within your heart and walking through this temple, open door after door, and each door that you pass by, you're getting closer and closer to the Swami who's sitting in the altar of your heart. And then he said, you go inside and Swami will be sitting in the post that you like, Swami will be sitting on the jula, on the sofa, or whatever you like. And that Swami will talk to you. Right? This is what is the technique of meditation this teacher taught them. And when you're at that age, you kind of believe whatever your teachers tell you. So this kid had taken it so seriously. Just a story which is a little aside. It happened in Mandir again. A couple of my seniors, they were sitting in Mandir, and this time it was a student who was a part of the system. He was, a few years into the system, and then there was a new entrant. So this new entrant was sitting and he was going on troubling this classmate of his who's been here for a few years. He wanted to tell me, what should I do for Swami to come and talk to me? So this boy was getting a little irritated. So just to put him off, he said, oh, it's very simple, brother. Just close your eyes and chant Gayatri 108 times. Swami will come and talk to you. So merely to silence him and so that he could do whatever he was doing. So this boy took it to heart and he closed his eyes and chanted with all sincerity Gayatri mantra 108 times. He finished the 108th, the interview room door opened, Swami walked out and came straight to him and asked, where are you from? The boy who gave the advice was shocked. So that's the beauty of sincerity, right? So So if you and I believe that Swami is not here to answer our prayers, that's how it's going to be. But if we believe that He is there, and if we have that sincerity that goes with that belief, be sure He will come to you wherever you are. So going back to the story, so this boy, he started this meditation. So he started opening door after door, walking into the sanctum of his own heart. And he said after a certain point, he was not imagining it anymore. In the sense, he didn't know how many doors are there. And so every door he's opening with a trepidation that maybe this is the last door, or maybe Swami is there. So even as he's opening each one of these doors, that enthusiasm is building and that curiosity is building. And finally, as they show in the movies, each door is becoming more ornate than the previous door. So you know you're getting closer, right? So finally he comes to this beautiful, magnificent golden door, and he knows that, yes, this is the final door. He opens the door, and there in that beautifully lit altar, he sees Swami sitting on a jhula with a beautiful smile, radiant face. The moment he sees that, he's like, right? If you ever see Swami when he's just coming out of his room, he's just got ready, he's combed his hair, he just had a bath, and when he steps out of the room, it's a different sight altogether. We like something has lit the sky, right? And he had the same feeling. He said, Swami is sitting there, and he's standing at the door, and he's just looking at Swami, and Swami is looking so radiant, and Swami says, come. So he goes to Swami. He doesn't know, all of this is not imagination anymore. It's really happening in his heart. So he goes up to Swami, and any guesses what Swami would have told him? Swami told him, this evening, in your hostel food stall, they are going to get puffs. If you don't know what a puff is, it's something like it's something they make in the bakery. I think even now they make on Fridays or something like that. So to give you a background, it's made only in the ashram. So whenever it's made here, the boys from the hostel come here, buy it from here, and they put it in the food stall in the hostel, and whoever wants can buy that. Right? It's not part of the menu of the dining hall. So Swami is telling this boy, this evening they are going to get puffs in the food stall. It's like, what is that? And Swami says, they're going to get puffs in the food stall, you don't eat. A little bit of detail, this boy is a plump boy who's very fond of food. Okay. And then, by then the meditation session ends, and he probably closes all the doors and comes out. He's trying to make sense of what Swami told him. He said, of all the things, why would Swami tell me this? That there's puff in your food stall and you don't eat it. I must have been very hungry. So my mind's playing up with me. But then the thing is, as I told you, it's only once a week that we get puff in the food stall. Right? So he thinks, okay, today's a Monday. It's not likely that they'll get food puff today. So he goes to one of his seniors and says, is it likely that they will get puff today? The senior tells him that's impossible. It's only on Fridays. So he says, okay, if the puff is there in the food stall today, which means that the conversation is real. So he runs to the food stall. Lo and behold, you wouldn't imagine saying lo and behold before saying this, there was puff in the food stall. And this boy was like so thrilled, right? The conversation was real. Now came the next problem. Swami said, don't eat it. So he's like, oh God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So you won't believe it. He goes and hides himself in the bathroom to resist the temptation. Then he's not able to resist it. Finally he comes out and he comes to the food stall. The last puff is there, he buys it and he eats it all. So the next day, again the meditation. Again he has to go into the doors, go to the altar. So this time he's a bit guilty because he's not listened to Swami. And he goes, opens door after door, the final ornate door, he opens it. The same scene, Swami is sitting there with jhula, with a little cross. Swami calls him. He said, I told you not to eat the puff. Then Swami says, today Again, there's going to be puff in the food stall. You don't eat. Swami said. And the meditation session was over. He comes out of it. And he says, this can never be possible. I mean, this is like, it never happens in the hostel. 2 consecutive days you have puff in the food stall. And so he makes all his inquiries. He's absolutely sure that it's not going to happen. Again, lo and behold, when he went to the food stall, there was puff. So this day he said, no, I'm not going to. And somehow he managed to put off that thing. I don't know, after that, he had this experience continuing. But when I spoke to him, of course, he had graduated and he was doing his own business. And he said, can anybody take away the fact from me that my Swami is within? As a 14-year-old boy, if you have an experience like that, can anybody come and convince you that your Swami is not within you? It is a fact that the Swami is within each one of us. And when physically we used to interact with Swami, it used to be a very, the lack of words, a weird interaction. Because we know that we are talking to somebody who knows everything. The darkest of your secrets, if you could say that. But then he would ask us, what is your name? Where do you come from? What was your father doing? Right? There used to be all kinds of very interesting interactions which used to happen. But the thing is, even through this experience of Swami asking us all these questions, he would not miss a chance every now and then to reiterate that it's the same Swami who's within.
Para bhakta sekalian, adalah pengalaman yang sangat luar biasa dapat mendengar bila ilahi Swami, bukan? Betapa diberkatinya kita menjadi makhluk hidup di dunia ini yang diyakinkan Dia ada di dalam hati kita, selalu ada untuk mendengar dan berbicara dengan kita kapan saja dan di mana saja. Jika Anda senang dengan pengalaman seperti yang tadi, jangan lupa untuk subscribe, like, komen, dan share channel ini. Terima kasih. Jai Sai Ram.